Welcome back everybody, this is Grace, and today we're doing banneret shenanigans. Now we're going to start this video from a pretty weird place, midway through a testing run. I've got Spotter Drake flashing around, got the battle log opened up, but what you'll notice is that I just broke banneret's stun phase. You can tell because the control is still there. You can also tell because in the battle log, every time I was dealing damage, banneret was healing it right back, so it was at that threshold where you can't deal any damage to it successfully. Enemy's turn, I broke my opponent's stance, and what you'll see is a tick of 8 elemental damages. That was the prismatic burn I inflicted on the banneret. So what I'm showing you here is that if you inflict a damage over time status on banneret, that damage does proc after the stun phase. Now I'm showing you that first because I couldn't think of a great way to explain that without this visual. Ideally I would have recorded that actually happening. Didn't do that, so we're just doing this, but TLDR, short notes, you can use a damage over time status to deal damage to banneret after its stun phase without doing anything. So the plan here is to use Prismatic Burn to make it easier to punch through banneret's damage phases. The main strategy for banneret I like to do is that I tank through the wind phases without doing much special. I save all my resources, and then for the multi-element and celerity and alien power phases, I just nuke through the whole HP bar and don't really worry about it. I just nuke through it all and call it a day. Because if you nuke through, it never gets an attack off, and you can just go without taking like a billion damage. So that's what I'm trying to do. Nuke through the phases. But in this scenario, I don't have enough resources to pull off a huge nuke for 3 to 4 phases. So I'm trying to figure out how can I make that nuke need to be less strong. And the way I'm going to do that is with a permanent damage status. In this case, Prismatic Burn. So by stacking a Prismatic Burn, I take the monster's HP down a little bit after that stun phase. Make it a little bit easier for myself. Now, I actually need to die because I have like a billion house paintings. So what I'm going to do is just do nothing and let him like 2-shot me here. Maybe 3-shot me. But what I'm trying to do is figure out how to stack Prismatic Burn as quickly and as effectively as possible. Alright, so, oh, you know what? Didn't send me back to the void painting anyways. So I'll pause while I get back to my void painting, because it takes me like a minute. Here we are. And first, I'll show you what happens if you just play normally and try and stack Prismatic Burn. So, we're going to go to our Wind Armor. We're going to get Moglin Fan out. Well, we'll do something else first, but normal Wind Armor. I gotta use Essence Orb a little bit here, because the way I'm going to start my Prismatic Burn stack is with the Love Struck Scope for guaranteed celerity, Shenya form, and a melee weapon, just any old melee weapon because I'm a strength build. I will use Sunburst Amulet. Actually, you know what? Ring of Precision, Pride Lord, and Spotter Drake. That way I get more accuracy, land more of my hits. There you are. Also, I have a teensy bit of a sore throat. We're hoping, and by we I mean me, myself, and I. I'm hoping that it gets better and doesn't get worse, but I've got some tea. My voice is going to be a little scratchy. You know the drill. And now we are just going to basic attack in a random FD Wind Armor, which happens to be Cherub, which is tokens. But we'll just basic attack it down the normal way. Dismiss our guest, use Baby Egg for tank stats, and we'll use a random Wind Mist. So this one's actually a reductive mist, so it's a bit stronger than normal, but it doesn't really matter because that's not the point. But so here, banneret's stats are Dexterity, Endurance, and Charisma, and I could not find a single Prismatic Burn that was Intellect Infliction or Strength Infliction, or Luck obviously, because that's sub-rolls. So whatever Prisburn source, you're going to be rolling against the 250 stat line. You could run a Burn Potence Mist or a Burn Potence Shield. If you do, you'll take a lot more damage because you don't have a defensive mist. And all the Burn Potence Mists I know of don't give wind defense, so But here, so we had our prismatic burn, we're stacking it up, we get about 122 damage. Now she prepares a massive distract, or a massive attack, distract her to disrupt it. For my stun method, I'm using Matchmaker combined with Moglin Fan. Each one inflict a 50% control, so together it's 100%. The only thing you have to worry about is missing hits, but that's just not going to happen while I'm recording, because that would be super inconvenient. Yep, there we go. 100% control. Those are my text messages, sorry about that. Okay, anyways, back to the wind setup. Just chilling, stacking more prismatic burn, and essentially, what you have to have happen is you stack enough to make your nuking a lot easier after the second phase. So we only have 2 phases before he starts doing multi-element and becomes much, much harder. So we only have 2 phases worth of time to stack this prismatic burn. And I think it's going to end around 5,700, maybe 5,800. But I also think it doesn't trigger on its own turn. So I think like here, yeah, we hit him to, oh no, hasn't triggered yet. Oh, okay, so 5,379 is where we're at. So we'll stun him again, but you'll see that I get some damage boost. I get a bit of a damage boost, but I don't get a huge damage boost. Which is what I'd really need to make it a lot easier. So what I'm trying to figure out is how can we do less damage, more than 169, or how can we do less damage with our basic attacks and with our turn, and do more damage, or have more time to stack that prismatic burn. So right now, I didn't stack enough, the goal was not met. What we're going to do now, leave the fight, come back with a fresh start, and I'll show you the first method I found, which sort of works to stack more prismatic burn. Okay, so this first method is a bit of a trip, so you're just going to have to ride with me for a bit here. We are going to use the ranged ramping lean behavior to attack with a really high accuracy and really low damage. And by doing that, we will make our range damage really, really low. Now you might be thinking, you don't have dexterity trained. How are you going to inflict any prismatic burn if you're using a ranged weapon? You have such a low save, you'll be really down. That's very true. What we're going to be doing is using the Trickster Armor's 3rd skill, Multifarious Mastery, which gives you celerity, locks your damage to wind, which is the important thing, because wind will do a lot less damage to banneret, because it's 40 resistance, and locks your damage to ranged. So I can use a melee weapon or a charisma weapon, because I have charisma trained, and deal range damage, and that range damage will be affected by the ranged ramping lean. So how I'm gonna lower my BTH is pretty simple. It's a setup you may have seen before. We're using Grakmahorn -15, Gold Gatling -10 BTH weapon, and it's the level 25 version. So I think it's like -7 BTH raw and has 6 hits. And then Legion Fenrir, another -15. I think you can get a little lower with a shield or something. Well, no, I don't think so. But there's a way you can get lower too, but for now this is what we're doing. And here we're simply just going to attack. The first one misses all 6 hits most of the time. The second one we unsummon Legion Fenrir because I don't want it acting. I mean, actually, I don't even have enough MP to make it act. But here we missed 3, so we missed 9, hit 3. So our BTH is +75, and our damage 0.0073, or 0.0033. So we are doing a third of the damage we'd normally deal, which is great, and we have 0 dex, so we're dealing half damage because we don't have any stat investment in dexterity. Our range damage is halved, and then multiplied by 0.333, so we're getting like 0.167 damage, I think. Or 167 damage outgoing. So we're doing 16% of the damage, attacking 40% wind resistance. 16 times 0.4, that's like 6. So we're doing 6% of the damage we'd be doing if we attacked normally against banneret's earth resistance. Now the trick is, I have to do this BTH resetting every couple turns, so what you'll see is that maybe I inflict, maybe I do inflict a lot of prismatic burn, or maybe I do deal really low basic attack damage, but what you'll find is that what'll actually happen is the boss will take a lot more damage from the prismatic burn, so it'll take about the same damage, or not about the same. It'll take notable damage. Well, I wasn't supposed to attack with a ranged weapon, but that worked. Because the ranged weapon gives you a bad save, so I should have had more burn potency out. But anyways, if you bring a burn potency shield and misc, you'll be fine. But I just didn't do that. So now we go back to Trickster. Again, with our ranged locked, we use a burn weapon that we have the potency for, Moglin Fan. Let's use Sunburst Amulet for now, and we attack. So now we deal pretty low damage, just 120. And so we can keep doing this and keep stacking more Prismatic Burn. So it's working pretty well so far. I think we are definitely going to get a higher amount of Prismatic Burn than we did in our first attempt. But if you'll notice, what's our BTH lane now? Now we have a negative BTH lane, so somehow we've been obliterating him, or obliterating her, even with normal BTH, which is like 40 lower than it's supposed to be. So now we're doing full damage, so I have to once again summon Legion Fenrir, summon Krakma Harbinger, use Golden Mid and Gatling, and attack. So now we miss 6 times, and our BTH will go back up. I don't know exactly how high it's going to go. Let's take a guess here. 19, that's not enough for me, that's only 0.813 damage, so you have to resummon it if it doesn't act. So if you don't have enough MP like me, you have to resummon it each turn, so we'll attack again. Okay, that should be 11 misses, so that's pretty good. Now we're at 75 again, so we can unsummon Legion Fenrir, go back to our Wind or our Sunburst Amulet, and go back to Moglin Fan, and keep attacking. So the problem is, now I've got a stun, we've got a power point 914, which is, it's solid. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's not quite as good as I'd like. Yep, we're good. 100% control, we're at no risk. So we're doing 221 on the first phase this time, so definitely going better, but let's check our ranged lean, 0.4x, that's not half bad. But I'm still killing it a little too quickly, in my opinion. Like, I should be killing it slower. Because the slower I kill it, like we just hit him for 115, we just hit him for like 300 damage on the basic attack. That's not ideal, you know? So we are going to get pretty high. I think we're going to get about 300 damage. Oh, not even. 215. Well, 240. Okay. So let's go to Matchmaker. We're at 58300. And we'll see how low we can get it from the from the Prismatic Burn. 5835, however much HP it loses. We'll see. So that was like 230 damage, 229 damage. So that's something. That's 229 damage less that we have to do this turn. But I think we can do more, and I figured out a way to almost assuredly do more. So we're gonna flee here. I'm gonna heal up, get back to the boss fight, and show you how to do it. Okay. So this time we're gonna do several things a little differently. First, we're going to cast Purple Rain at the very beginning of the fight. Next, we are going to use Trickster's Hide, and we are going to lower our BTH, but we're not going to be attacking Trickster's Hide very much at all this time. And you'll see why. Let's see how much BTH does that give me. 51. Yeah, that should be good. We are going to go to Lost Talon Guardian. Use our Pride Lord. Use our Spotter Drake. Use... Doesn't actually matter what weapon you use. In theory, Multi-Maul would be best here, because that would increase my accuracy more, and I don't think I quite have maximum accuracy here. We're simply going to inflict Wind Fracture, which is a permanent status debuff, leaving them weak and vulnerable. Now they get 8 status weakness for all time. So the next thing we're going to do, I think we have to click Essence Orb 4 or 5 times. We'll do 5. Love struck scope. We need a couple more. 1. Yep. Now we're going to go to Shenya. We're going to use Nightmare Shield. Sunburst, or we can't use Sunburst. We'll use Ring of Precision. Doesn't actually matter. And we'll attack with a melee weapon. So we get the good save roll. Yep. We use Swift Wind. We get a full Prismatic Burn. And now we go to Cherub. Now, one thing you might not know about Cherub is it has 3 attack modes. You can do Heart Arrows, which I believe is a control effect. You can do Broken Heart Arrows, which I believe is a blind effect. You can do Star Arrows, which is nothing, and then each one has a different skill that does a different thing. Very cool armor, lots of stuff you can do. But the way that it works is it doesn't cost SP for its effects. What it does is it trades weapon damage. Skills cost SP, but the basic attacks trade weapon damage. Now the Broken Heart Arrows, specifically I'm reading the info subs here, you deal minus 50% damage with a melee ranged weapon or minus 66% damage with a magic weapon. Now, we're using Moglin Fan, which is a magic weapon, even though it's charisma based, and it already trades 1/3 of its damage for the ability to Prismatic Burn. So what I'm getting at here is we're trading almost 100% of our damage. See, you're sitting in for peanut. Except I'm not equipped with a windshield. But we're trading almost 100% of our damage. So our basic attacks are hitting for very low damage. Now, you can actually lower this damage even further if you use something like Mutter. I think we're going to do 0 here. If you use something like Mutter, that's a little too much damage reduction. The statuses won't inflict. So I actually don't know quite the perfect balance. But now our basic attacks are doing absolutely nothing to him. Or almost nothing, and we don't have to spend multiple turns resetting our accuracy, like we did with the ranged BTH lean setup. So in this way, the monster will take less damage from the dot, because we're not wasting more turns attacking, doing nothing, with the accuracy setup. You know what I'm saying? So hero power 914 for the first phase, looking pretty good. And another big thing here is going to be that we use, is going to be the use of Purple Rain. Purple Rain is going to give us a huge more amount of time to inflict more statuses. We will attack. Got that 100% control. We go back to Cherub. We use Moglin Fan on burn mode. Back to Baby Egg. And I'm going to use Sunburst Amulet here. Is it Sunburst Amulet that increases your damage against burning targets? No, I don't think so. We're gonna Purple Rain when it hits 6k HP. Because if you Purple Rain after the phase breaks, it doesn't reset the phase. So you'll end up in trouble. So now, we Purple Rain. We're still building Prismatic Burn. Although we do have minus 115 charisma, so we'll be weak on the save roll here. We did get the Nightmarish Moglin powers. It does have Celerity too, so it is going to be building up it's going to be taking more damage from the damage over time effect. It's attacking twice each turn. But let's see how high we can stack it, how much power, by the time we get to that second phase and we don't have so much time to stack the Prismatic Burn anymore. So basically by applying a minus 80, minus 90% damage reduction, I'm not sure exactly how much it is. I'm not sure if Moglin Fan is additive or multiplicative, but okay, I think it's going to phase transition here. Oh, nope, it didn't. Thank goodness. We get one more turn to attack. And now it's going to phase transition. Okay, so we're at power 1.55. So a lot more power. And look at our resources. We're pretty topped up on HP. Pretty topped up on SP. We're absolutely good to go here. Alright, so we control 5624. Let's see where it ends up. 52, 58. So that is 375 damage that we don't have to deal on our next turn. And the same thing will be true the turn after that, and the turn after that, and the turn after that. So for, I think, 3 more phases that we have to nuke through, that's almost 400 damage less that we have to do in a single turn. So I actually, very foolish of me, but I didn't bring any way to deal big damage. I guess I could use this weapon skill actually in Cherub Armor, because it has celerity, but, well, not Cherub Matchmaker. I mean, sure, why not? Let's see if it does it, but... Oh no, it's definitely not a good way to do it, because it trades half damage, so it's just like a basic attack. So I didn't bring a way to actually kill the banneret. But what I'm saying is, if you use Purple Rain, if you use additive damage reducers with your Prismatic Burn stacking method, you can really stack a much more powerful status and make your nuking phases much, much easier. You'll have a lower damage threshold to hit. So that's the method. I hope you found this interesting. I really was hoping that the ranged BTH ramping would do the job. Unfortunately, it did not. It was just a little bit harder to pull off. So I think this Cherub strategy where I can't switch armors. Oh yeah, it's a matchmaker, I forgot. But the Cherub strategy with the flat damage reduction, or flat attack damage reduction, really worked pretty well. That's all. See you guys later. Bye bye.